Hi guys and welcome to another edition of the General Jerry channel. As promised, I will be doing a top 10 controversies of WWE. There was a lot of controversies that happened in WWE over this year. Probably the most I've ever seen in my life after covering 5 years of YouTube. So there's a lot of controversies that might not be in this list. But these are my personal controversies that are definitely in the top 10. I'm sure you can probably guess what number 1 is, but let's go down the top 10 right now. What I'm going to be doing is going through the list and then giving details on it as well. Also, TNA can't be included in this because then I'd have to call it wrestling and shit like that. So I just thought I'd add maybe the one TNA controversy in here while we're at it, you know. Number 10 is WWE racism. So a lot of you will know that WWE was embroiled in some racism. At the start of the year, there was news that Del Rio might be suing WWE. Del Rio left early 2014, and he did an interview, and basically he was saying that there was a lot of racism against Mexicans in WWE. WWE handled it quite badly. What happened was Del Rio was in a cafeteria. A staff member called him a derogatory term against Mexicans. And Del Rio rightly so slapped the shit out of him. Rather than WWE saying to this staff member who said it, you know, you were in the wrong, rather punishing him equally to Del Rio when Del Rio hit him. Instead, they essentially fired Del Rio and they kept this guy's job going. As far as I'm aware, I don't think he's around anymore after this controversy. But WWE handled it quite badly. I thought WWE would have at least tried to do something better with this, and they didn't. Now, as a lot of you will know, Del Rio is back. He's United States champion. Looks likely he's going to be facing John Cena. And because of the controversy, it actually kicked off the storyline of Mex America, where it was Zeb Coulter and Del Rio, where it was America and Mexico working together as a heel group. It, you know, obviously now they've stopped doing that. Del Rio is now with the League of Nations. So things looks likely that it has moved on, but overall it was a big controversy as well. Also, during, which I'm sure you probably know what number 1 is, but which is a lot likely that number 10, but obviously a lot of people were saying that WWE was treating a lot of African American wrestlers very badly because, you know, most champions are white males. You wouldn't see a black champion, yeah, it was definitely it's definitely something that's up there as well. So a lot of accusations of racism. Number 9, TNA's Destination America departure. As a lot of you know, TNA signed with Destination America, and what happened was in that controversy, they eventually left. I was very surprised they went to Destination America. I thought that I was talking to Andre Kerville as well, on one of the hangouts. Should I say I was talking about this? I think it was on WJ's hangout. On Wrestling Jesus Hangout, and Andre messaged me saying he agreed with me that I felt the TNA should do online streaming like Netflix, Amazon Prime, because they can actually go into a market that's not done anymore. Nobody really, you know, in terms of wrestling, maybe your Luchador Underground, they kind of post episodes online, but there is a big market for that, and they could do that because, let's face the facts, the majority of people don't actually go to television anymore, which I thought would happen. So yeah. Number 8, the WWE ratings. A lot of controversy happened in the ratings this year. Obviously, as a lot of you know, a few months back, even when Cena was there, ratings were dropping. It actually hit at its lowest point since they moved to 3 hours. The ratings have slightly spiked up right now, but it's still bad. even now, because we're now approaching the wrestling season. Ratings might go up. We will see what the damage has taken by these ratings when it hits Royal Rumble to WrestleMania. But yeah, the WWE ratings were pretty poor. Week in and week out, Raw in general was god awful. And it wasn't the best in the world. WWE ratings were way down. It essentially symbolized what Raw was getting at. Raw this year was absolutely god awful. A lot of the Raws were diabolical. In fact, for the very first time in 5 years of me broadcasting, I actually had to stop watching Raw live, and I had to watch it pre-recorded, because I was staying up 4 in the morning to watch this show, and because it was so bad, I refused to watch it live, and I had to watch it pre-recorded. And even in times, I've even missed Raws because it's been that bad, because quite frankly, nobody gives a shit about it. Raw's ratings are very bad. It's number 8. Number 7 is Survivor Series 2015, probably the worst pay-per-view of the year. The pay-per-view itself was just awful. Now, thankfully, because of this pay-per-view was so bad, we eventually seen Roman Reigns getting the championship on Raw. However, there was some controversy, which a lot of people didn't talk about in the YWC. A lot of people were pissed off about people that purchased the WWE Network, who assumed that if they paid for this pay-per-view that they would see Roman Reigns win the championship, but instead they gave it away on Raw for free. And a lot of fans were actually very angry at that, because they paid money either on Sky, which is even way dearer than the WWE Network. I think it's like £15, or I don't know how much it is over in America to pay it on pay-per-view. And the WWE Network for $9.99, people paid to see Roman Reigns win the championship. However, they gave it away for free on Raw, because the Survivor Series pay-per-view itself was so bad. As a matter of fact, there were people that actually refused to review this, which I've never seen, because usually the YWC are the first ones to criticize something, and actually for the first time in a while there was some people that talked about it, but some of the YWC members actually refused to review this. They just said, I'm done. And they had to bring Vince McMahon in on Raw, and then ratings went up because of the controversy that happened. Number 6 is Stephanie's tweet. A lot of you might not, some of you probably will know this, but Stephanie basically said that the profiting of essentially tragedy is very good for business. Apparently she was supposed to write this in some type of format, but she tweeted it out instead, and it caused a lot of controversy, especially, in amongst wrestling fans. I thought what Stephanie said was disgusting. Essentially, she was admitting that WWE is profiting off of death. They're basically, the Conor the Crusher scenario, as well as other fans that have died. What she was saying was that she was using it in a business sense, which is very insensitive, and definitely something that Stephanie wants to forget very quickly. So that's number 6. Number 5 is the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. A lot of controversy went down. Roman Reigns won the championship. He was booed in the Royal Rumble. Even The Rock couldn't save it. It was a very bad Royal Rumble, because essentially people said to me, like, oh, were you angry at the Royal Rumble? Not really. I think Roman Reigns should have won it. I think they should have stuck with him. But unfortunately, the Philadelphia fans were booing him. I actually really hope in the next Royal Rumble the fans don't take over the show. Yes, voice your opinion by all means, but if you're just going to boo for the sake of booing, then, things are getting a little bit crazy. The last few Royal Rumbles have been taken over by boos and shouting and shit like that. Obviously, Daniel Bryan was supposed to win one of those Rumbles. It was Batista. Then Daniel Bryan showed up in the Rumble after that. He got kicked out in this Rumble, and Roman Reigns ended up winning it. And, it was definitely a controversial thing. All formats were even saying that it was a terrible pay-per-view. Thankfully now, Roman Reigns, it does look likely that he's doing pretty well. However, one of the segments I seen with Stephanie says otherwise. So, yeah. Number 4 is the WWE Network in the United Kingdom. Some people might not know this, but around about January time, the WWE Network was supposed to move to the UK and Ireland, and unfortunately, they put it back. It was supposed to be in the summer, and they put it back. And eventually, UK fans were pissed off. They were chanting, "Where's our network? Where's our network?" And a matter of fact, in one of the shows in Belfast I was in, Vince McMahon was on a teleprompter in Belfast, actually apologising for the WWE Network to the people of Belfast, which is, obviously it was pre-recorded, but he was apologising and shit like that. And obviously the crowd in Belfast were booing, as well as in the UK, Liverpool, Manchester, and London. UK fans were very angry that the fact that they promised that this network was going to be available and it wasn't. And it was a big controversy. A matter of fact, the Daily Mirror as well as other UK outlets were talking about this as well, and it was a big controversy. Number 3. Number 3. The Chyna controversy. The Chyna controversy was, a lot of you will probably know this, but Triple H was being interviewed by Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Triple H essentially said that Stephanie couldn't be in the Hall of Fame because of what she did in the porn industry. However, Hulk Hogan was in a porn movie, although it was recorded behind his back. He was still, if kids type in Hulk Hogan, they could probably see it. You got Sonny, who does sex calls on Skype. X-Pac, he was in a porn movie with Chyna, and he's still with the WWE. The list goes on and on and on. Even Divas posted nude, but still are in the Hall of Fame. It's kind of essentially a double standard, really, because they're saying, oh, well, they're okay, but Chyna's not okay. The main incentive, I think, for Triple H saying this is because him and Chyna used to go out, Stephanie interfered, and Triple H went with Stephanie. Chyna essentially got fired abruptly, and obviously she went through a lot. Chyna then responded on a video. The video I made a video on during this time, and I supported Chyna, and in fact Chyna even responded to my video, and even commented on it and praised me and said that she loves us guys and shit like that. So I heard Chyna is actually, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that she actually watches a lot of YWC videos. She was even interviewed by Vince Russo himself, and they got into massive detail about it. It was definitely something that was a big controversy, and it was definitely something that a lot of people were very angry at. Number 2 is Seth Rollins scandal. You saw knew this was gonna be it. This is number 2. Seth Rollins, obviously, him and his girlfriend, apparently he was cheating on his other girlfriend with this other girl that was on NXT. Nude pictures were posted of Seth Rollins. I thought that was the end of his career. Again, it goes back to the Chyna thing. Seth Rollins took a naked selfie of himself, but he was still WWE champion. But yet, Chyna, who did porn, can't be in the Hall of Fame. It's a lot of politics in that company. But yes, Seth Rollins, he was involved in controversy when he was caught cheating. There was a picture leaked out of him posting nude. It then dawned the phrase that me and Calvin came up with, Little Dick Rollins. Shout out Calvin. Me and Calvin came up with the name Little Dick Rollins. Little Dick Rollins. And then pictures of her nude were posted as well. Despite all this controversy, Seth Rollins was still WWE champion. And even her, his girlfriend, was still with the company. However, I was going to put this maybe in another point, but it's all in the same category. His girlfriend was fired by saying racist stuff on her Twitter, and eventually she was fired, and she debuted in another company, wrestling. Her wrestling move is apparently the curb stomp, you know, definitely something Seth Rollins and WWE want to look behind them. It was a big controversy that happened. Everybody was talking about it as well. Number one. I'm sure you all know what number one is. For those who don't, take a wild guess what number one is. Take a guess, because I know you know what it is. I mean, everybody knows what it is. It's obviously the Hulk Hogan racist scandal. Never have I seen so much news on this, on a WWE subject. This was crazy. This was crazy because for those who've been living on planet Mars, let's get into what actually happened. Hulk Hogan did a sex tape. After he did the deed, he then started talking about his daughter. He said racist things to an African American man, and essentially shit got real. Hogan said viciously about racism. He then was fired by WWE. He's now in a court case about the company. Gawker, you call him. Gawker, I think that it's their name, and apparently I think even that website now might be bankrupt because of this shit that went down. Hulk Hogan is suing them, and yeah, Hogan was covered by ESPN. It was all over the news. Even First Take, I believe you call them, Stephen A. Smith and Skip, who usually cover boxing and MMA, NBA and shit like that. They were even talking about it. This was all over TMZ. Everybody was talking about it. Hogan, obviously, he begged to get back in the company. WWE refused. He did an interview with Good Morning America, and it didn't work out so good because WWE went, nope, doesn't matter. I think Hogan, he's trying to be in the limelight and shit like that. I think Hogan, what I suggested back then was Hogan to stay away from the limelight, leave for a few years, and then try and come back. He ain't doing that. He's pursuing. He's going on and on. And you know, unfortunately, you know, a lot of Hulk Hogan fans were very disappointed in him. I was really disappointed in him. I just couldn't believe what I was watching. And yeah, shit got real. So yeah, that is your top 10. So just to clarify what the top 10 is, it's obviously the racism of WWE, the Destination America by TNA, the WWE Rating, Survivor Series 2015 pay-per-view, Stephanie's tweet, the Royal Rumble, WWE Network in the UK, the Chyna saga, and the Seth Rollins scandal, and finally the Hulk Hogan scandal. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Yeah, this is General Jerry on the General Jerry channel, signing out.